welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. How are you doing? Maybe you raced at the weekend. It looked like another busy weekend for our listeners. If so, chill out, relax and enjoy this week's show. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to all our partners and patrons too. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Veloforte, Silva, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Protein Rebel, SportShoes.com, Big Bobble Hats, X Miles, Fawnside, Farm Cottages and Yugoku Projects too. I do need to say the Silva code is working again, so thanks Silva for fixing that. If you would like some awesome discounts and support our partners and the show, then please consider joining Patreon. Maybe even treat yourself over at Summit Crazy if you would like some awesome Tea and Trails merch. Big shout out to my good friend Ray, or Razza. He was rocking the Tea and Trails hoodie at York Marathon at the weekend. He put me to shame, Eddie. I was not representing. I know, terrible behaviour, but yeah, nice to see Ray there with his lovely red hoodie.
You've just whined at me for 15 minutes saying, how can we get like the marathoners to listen to the podcast?
I know.
You could have had a t-shirt on with like an arrow and download here, and I did just grab people's phones who had earphones on and Spotify, put it on and thumbs up and run off.
Well, if I was in a bush getting my little baby dragon out, having a wee, and I had my Tea and Trails hoodie on, I didn't want to be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Welcome to episode 43. This week we talked to Fran Collett, female winner of Lakes in a Day. Can't wait for that. And of course, all the usual shenanigans, twittering you guys hound us for each week. And stay tuned because we announce our Yugoku project competition winners. I don't think anyone can look as good in that cap as you do there, Gary. So it's exciting to see them sent out to our way. Oh my God, he's flexing like vomit taste in my mouth. Talking of vomit taste in my mouth, super stoked to have Precision Fuel and Hydration as our podcast sponsor this week. I've received a bumper pack of goodies to help me plan, practice, train with, to try and solve my vomiting issues as the Winter 200 draws nearer and nearer. But this is good. This is perfect timing. Got loads of time to nail something down so that poor Gary's not by the side of the road WhatsApping Bryn going, don't know what to do with her. She's still in the bush.
SOS.
Button to Bryn. And in my research, so I'm doing a little bit of background work with them at the moment, and we are going to put it all on the podcast for all my fellow vomiting friends. But there's a ton of useful articles on their webpage, all sorts of different things. So if you're thinking like, do I mix my carbs with my electrolytes? Why am I always being sick? Why do I run out of energy? There is something, and it's lovely because there's loads of written stuff, which is then also provides links to the science if you're interested in that. But there's also videos as well. So whatever kind of learner you are, there's something for everybody. It's a super friendly, really good web page. Patrons get 15% off, and anyone can get 15% off their first order with the code caps lock Tea and Trails 15. I am determined to be on that start line with, was it you, Gary, or was it Trish? Somebody said to me, like, do you think it's mental now? Do you think, like, once you start... Wasn't me, Eddie. Somebody said it, and that sort of played with me a bit. So I think if I can get to the start line with, like, not only just tried and tested, like, okay, I'm really happy with this feeling. I'm not just going to go back to what I've done before, but also, like, have some things in place that if it happens, but also just know that if it does happen, I can get through it. So I'm doing everything I can, as well as all the training. So fingers crossed.
It is a good website, though. There's loads of resources on there. I really enjoyed it. And how are you finding the sachets as opposed to the little... Not
used them yet. Okay. That is so I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it later.
Thanks to all our Patreon partners and sponsors for supporting the Tea and Trails podcast. You can find links for all our sponsors at teaandtrails.com or in the show notes.
We all know what you've been doing. You've done something naughty, Gary, haven't you?
I know. You can see I'm a bit kind of croaky again. I set myself up for another 2 weeks of not running. But, I think I had about 3 weeks of rubbish content and busy did nothing. So in desperation.
And you're worried. You're like, Eddie, we're not getting enough patrons. We're not getting enough downloads. Life is spiraling.
I know. Life was out of control. But yeah, I still couldn't shake this cold. And we did Thirsty Thursday on Thursday, coincidentally. Yeah, I didn't feel great. So I was thinking, oh, God, I don't know if I'm going to do York Marathon. I don't know if I'm going to go. But the rest of the way, yeah, I did 2 strength sessions, which was nice. I didn't go to the gym, just at home, did a couple of strides. So it was lovely. I think we messaged each other earlier in the week, maybe Tuesday. And it felt like we were winning.
Yeah, we won on Tuesday and then we were silent.
But I didn't feel great at all. Thursday, I thought, well, I just don't know if I can run this marathon. I was in bed on Saturday evening. I nearly text Ray saying, look, don't come and get me. But I thought, well, if this race was just, or this run was just about me, then I wouldn't. But I knew I was going to run with mates. So that was a big draw. And, on reflection of the race, I definitely could have done 3:30. Maybe could have done 3:15. I think I would have been pretty pooped at the end of that. But either of those times were not good for age. Well, 3:15 technically is, but I wouldn't have enough in the bank to be good for age for London 2025. So it was a pointless endeavour, while that was literally why I entered the race. So yeah, to run with friends was the carrot, the temptation to do it. And I, really, really enjoyed it. One of the guys, Mark, it was his first ever marathon. So that's pretty special to be involved with something like that. The morning started quite stressful, so we missed the start. Never, ever done that on a road marathon. So I'm standing in the toilet queues, massive queue. And then when the, what's he called? The MC, 3, 2, 1, go. And even though I wasn't racing, my anxiety and stress were through the roof. And I normally have a little pre-race ritual. I have it's too much information, but I have my bin bag on me.
Okay. Yeah,
I have a little.
I was like, whoa, it's a family show.
I have an empty bottle. So when you're in the pen, you can't go for a wee, basically. So I have this.
No.
I have a bottle, a bin bag, so nobody can see what's going on, and then my little dragon can, if I need to.
If you did that next to me in a race, I would.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
I would see you fumbling under that black bin bag, and my thoughts would not be pure.
Yeah, but I've been in the.
Imagine if a woman had a bin bag on, and then she just crouched down next to you.
I don't crouch. I just stand. I think
she just stood and just weed.
But have you not seen guys like literally grating off? When I've seen this in London Marathon.
They're all disgusting. You're all disgusting, and you just stand there, and I see a million little dragons going. If we all got our foo-foos out and just stood by the side of the road.
I'm not getting it out. It's all hidden under the bin bag. Nobody can see what's going on. Anyway. Everyone's probably pleased to know I couldn't do any of that because I was so stressed out and in this toilet queue and running to the start.
I know you, I've got you. And then you still blow my mind with doing something like that. But the other man.
But we joined the back of the race. So we were like, I'm not too sure what the cutoff is, but I think we saw like a 6-hour pacer flag. And it's pretty uplifting. Anyone will know this who's done a long race where you're weaving through people. That is quite a wonderful feeling, no matter where you are in the run itself. So we enjoyed that. And we had pretty good first half of the marathon. So yeah, first half was fine. And then I think about mile 14, we asked Mark how he was doing, and apologies, Mark, I really hope you don't mind me sharing this.
I think everyone that runs with us knows that unless they sign the disclaimer saying that it's all going to be shared.
But yeah, the second half, which is very common for people actually who do a marathon, especially the first one when they haven't had the learnings over the race. In the second half, was a struggle for Mark, and he lost his goal here, unfortunately. He was going for sub 4, and he did say he did a half marathon time, and I was like, did that kind of old school maths where you double it and add 10 minutes. I think I heard that years ago. That's roughly, if your training is appropriate, what you're capable of. So 4 hours seemed possible, but then the second half, he struggled, and I initially was like, come on, Mark, we just got to try and run as much as possible. But then I was quite pleased with myself, really. I shifted my approach and I was doing maths on the fly. Basically, I was like, how many miles are left? Then I was trying to calculate how fast he could go each mile. So I knew if we walked a bit, jogged a bit, walked a bit, jogged a bit. And that was exactly what we did. And it managed him all the way to the very end. And I think we came in for Mark. It was like 4:13 and a bit of change. So just a minute under. It wasn't like he had loads of time to spare. But wonderful and great for him to get his goal. And I just felt quite nourished from the day. I really didn't want to go. That was my motivation going into the race. And it was such an unexpected takeaway to come out of that feeling like nourished. And I had some kind of closure of the Dragon's Back race. I don't know if it sounds quite dramatic. It's hard to really express it, but I'd been ill. Obviously not as ill as I thought I was because I ran a marathon. Yeah, it was just so nice to have that as a takeaway. I didn't really think I was going to get that from the run. And it just feels like now there's a line in the sand after Dragon's Back race. And now, yeah, I just feel a bit excited about planning and training for Manchester Marathon. And you do feel super inspired, and talk is cheap. But yeah, hopefully I can do the work and hit the time. It's funny, Justin. So I'd cooked this plan up with Justin. I basically encouraged him to do Manchester and York Marathon, and I would have felt really bad that if I didn't rock up to York. And Justin did get his good for age, and he was telling me afterwards it was such a wonderful day for Sedgefield. We had people to get their championship times. Justin got his good for age, and he said to me he had 3 hours 13, and I thought, well, that is good for age, but it's pretty tight. 3:15. Turns out he got 3 hours and 13 seconds. So yeah, he sailed on there. So it's all
going well.
Yeah, it was awesome. So he's like smashed his got 15 minutes buffer on the good for age time. So yeah, I'm really excited because I've got to do the work. I know that I think I could have done 3:15 yesterday. So to improve by 15 minutes for April, I think that's quite a lot. And there's a lot of jeopardy. Literally, it's one strike. And then I move on for Lakeland 100 training. So I can't, it's not like if I don't do it, then I can scramble and do a marathon, say in May, because then that has a knock-on effect for Lakeland 100. So yeah, super excited. I just hope it's not like this kind of false start and talk is cheap and I don't actually do it. Yeah, I saw Grant from Ultra Trails, and I was super because I literally just, you see people for not even a second. So I was quite pleased that I saw Grant. Yeah, we said hello to each other on the course. He was spectating at Stamford Bridge, I think it's called. So yeah, wonderful. Didn't really see many podcast listeners, and if you were there and you saw me, don't ever feel like you can't come and say hello. Eddie knows.
Got a bin bag and a bottle. Do not go near.
I've said it quite a few times. I love meeting our listeners. So yeah, don't ever think, oh God, I've got to leave them alone. Leave them alone. Don't.
And how did the body feel? Like any niggles, any aches, pains?
Cardiovascular, 100% fine. I feel, I don't really like saying it but I did feel in control all the time. And I appreciate for some people 4:15, that's a PB for them. So it's a hard day. But cardiovascular for me, 4:15 was completely fine. I think I've got a little blister on a toe, a few aches because you're out there for 4 and a bit hours. And that's a different side. I know we've done ultras. We've all done ultras. We ran for 24 hours plus, but to be smashing the tarmac for 4+ hours.
Well, I struggle with 10 miles on tarmac. My hips.
That is, but I think the super shoes really, I've got these New Balance, they're not their brand spanking new carbon plated shoes, but they're one of their earlier carbon plated shoes, and the foam is super soft. The foam on the shoes these days, you really do pull up a lot better after a marathon. I remember the first time I bought some marathon shoes, I basically zoomed in on Kipchoge's feet when he did Berlin Marathon one year, and it was some Nike shoes, and it was
remember when we used to wear flats? We wore flats.
These were flats, and the thought of doing 26 miles in some flats these days, no thank you. So yeah, body's okay. Yeah, a few little aches, no DOMs whatsoever. Mindful though that yeah, I ran yesterday, I ran the dog with leash, and I ran this morning too. But definitely no training. I think I've got to respect this week just because no matter what, it's still been plus 4 hours and an early morning, a long time in the car, and then a late night too. So got to respect that. But yeah, absolutely loved it. Feel completely nourished. And as Eddie said, I've been thinking, how can there were so many people there and everyone was just having a great time. I was just thinking, well, there's a lot of people here who might not even know about trail running. They might not know about
on the trails.
They might not know about trail running, all the podcasts. I just thought, yeah, how could we connect? How could you connect these people? And you're right, maybe I should have worn my hoodie. That would have been a start at least. What's this podcast? What's this Tea and Trails podcast? And I did think about wearing my t-shirt, but then I'm very mindful if I entered the race as a Sedgefield Harrier, I need to wear my Harrier vest, to be honest. It was good. It was good. 3 Harriers crossed the line together at the finish.
It's a lovely photo. It was a lovely photo.
It was nice. So I feel pretty nourished and looking forward to training for Manchester, which is that's Tea and Trails. So there'll be 2 road marathons I'll be talking about for the upcoming months. But yeah, you have got a super big trail race. Come on, tell me what you've been up to.
What have I been through? What a week. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Week four training in the bag. Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of my Strava curve, Gary. It's up there, it's high, and it's holding a steady line.
Oh, I love it.
Another 14 hours in the bag. Feeling good. Feeling good. That's a total lie. But feeling, as we say, fine. I think is all I can ask for myself and my body at the moment. So I got back on the sessions. I did 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1 uphill.
Classic.
I love that session because you can start with the 5 minutes and feel like actually they're pretty comfortable. You're just like out of breath, but
oh God, no, I'm hanging on 5 minutes.
You work much harder than I do. Either 2 and the 1 minutes I'm hanging on. But there's also the volume of that is actually, that was like a 9 mile, almost 2,000 feet session. And when I looked at like my heart rate, like how long you're in each zone, and I find it quite hard to have 30 minutes in the top end zone. Now I'm old because I can't go into that zone. Like it takes a minute or so to get into that zone.
I get beyond the 5 minutes, but when I get down to the 2s and 1s, I'm in it pretty quick.
I do with that session now is I shorten the recovery to keep my heart rate up high. I have a shorter recovery as it goes down as well. So between once I get down to the 3, I actually go on my heart rate rather than time. So I get it down to 140. If it goes down to 130, 135, it takes me time to get, but if I get it back up. But if I just go down to 140, within like 20 seconds, it's back up in that high 150s, low 160s, which is my workout zone. I love that.
I'll take the time no matter what the heart rate's.
Yeah, but also I'm always on time fault. So I have 90 minutes to do that session. Okay, I just got to go. There's no like, cut it down story of my life. The last 1 minute, I was proper and I often listen to music in those sessions and I turn it up quite loud.
Oh no.
And so I can't hear him breathing. I know. That's what I like. I only have a very small amount of time by myself. If I want to listen to some hardcore Disney, I'll listen to some hardcore Disney loud. The dogs are like looking back at me. They run ahead and then they look back, especially up a hill going, come on. And then when I start their really heavy breathing, they actually come right back and they look like going, you okay? You're trying to talk.
You okay?
Okay. I can't hear it because I'm in a whole new world.
Oh, what a treat.
What a treat for everybody. So that was hard. And I did that on my really busy day. And then I just regret it. I just go for the rest of the day doing kid stuff. And so I just had to every opportunity downing bottles of water, electrolyte smoothies, trying to recover from that. A couple of days later, I then did a 20-mile, very mountainous long run, which is always the highlight of my week. Not like I've said before, super race specific because there was quite a lot of hiking, but it was fill my soul like your marathon, nourish with a friend. It was super hot. We had vests on in the middle of October in the Alps.
Crazy.
It's definitely not as hot as it was. Even though it says at the hottest part of the day, it was 20 degrees. It doesn't almost feel like 20 degrees because I think now our ground starts to get quite cold. So in the shade, you're suddenly back down to 8 degrees. We did the loop. I know a couple of listeners did the Leger Trail Marathon, which is our local 40K. So marathon. So I said to my friend, let's do that loop with a few cutting out the bits we don't like, obviously. And then halfway around, we decided to go up this col because I'd never been up it. And I thought it was 5 minutes up to the top. Oh, no. It was after about 25 minutes. I was like, how much further? It was really steep. My mate was like, I did wonder why you wanted to go up here. I was up for it. So anyway, we added probably an extra hour onto the loop. And my friend hadn't done a long run since that trail race, which was in July, I think. So she, by the time we got round the top end of the loop, so it's halfway around, she was starting to flag a little bit. So we tied Lindy to her. We have to put Lindy on the lead. I take Tarky. We have to take Lindy and put her on the lead if we're round. There's a few goats still roaming around and marmots still roaming around. So we put her back on the lead for those bits. And I'd had her up the first time, but she doesn't half hurt my back when she's like, and she goes like off to the side, and then it's a bit like it's nice for when she is tugging, but when she's not, it's just a pain in the. And going
I don't
down,
enjoy the first mile with Rex. It's
my
usually
poor
downhill.
thing. Oh my God, it's awful, isn't it? And I can't downhill. She's just, oh my God. Anyway, so we had to put on lead. So my mate was like, I'll take her. So I was like, great. Anyway, so then the last big long climb, Lindy got the bit between her teeth, and I was having to work really hard to keep up with them. Then the bit we were descending, which is quite technical, there's always loads of marmots around there. So I was like, oh, you take her off the strap that attacks around the waist and just have her on your hand as we run down this hill? And she was like, no, it's fine, I'll keep her on the waist. Oh my God, we ran. So my quads almost exploded down this climb. My big toes were black at the bottom because we ran so hard down it. And she ran the first bit, and I was like, oh my God, I can't keep up. I cannot keep up with them. They were going so fast. And then I overtook, and all I could hear behind me was like her feet on the gravel and Lindy like, this is we got like cups going down this descent. And considering it's a race, like you never get the cups or anything because people have like hammered it down. Lindy is anyone wants to get better on descending, borrow Lindy, tie her around your waist. You might not come back with your teeth, but you'll get faster going downhill. And then when we got to the bottom of that descent, then it's a lot. Oh my gosh, it's a bit of a grovel back around the ski resort basically to get back to our car. So we just kept Lindy attached, and I was like, right, we can't walk. We've got to run this whole thing. It did become quite quiet.
You know you're in trouble when the conversation stops.
I know. I was like, you okay? And she was like, I'm going to walk. Nope, keep running. But it's so
bully.
good. I know, I was a bit of a bully. But it's like perfect 200-mile training if you've got like 4 hours in your legs. And we were going like bits of it were easy, but with that much, it was like 2,000 meters of climbing. So the legs were tired. I always go, this is 200-mile pace. Of course, nothing is 200-mile pace because it's very hard to go like 4 miles an hour, even with that much. It is slow. My view is like the training is running when you're tired, up a little incline when you don't want to run. You'd prefer to hike. As we all know, people have used it, that ultra shuffle on, just get moving. And actually, once you get running, it's okay. It's just the first couple of 100 meters where you think you're going to die. And the heart rate goes up a little bit. So you're a little bit out of breath. Then it all settles. And then and you've got to be able to run those if you want to be competitive. You've got to get back into that. Even though it's the worst feeling ever.
It's so hard, though, isn't it?
It's so hard, but it's good. We kept the fuel going in. We kept the electrolytes going in. Yeah, we had a great day. Useless for nothing by the end of that day. And by the time I got home, and then I was like, oh my God, it's only half an hour. I've got to go and get the kids.
But
it's good. And then
I procrastinate, though. So even though I've got half an hour, it's like,
I'll be sitting on my
phone.
I might not even have a shower because I'm like, I just need to sit and stare at the wall.
It was interesting you say about the 200-mile pace. I looked at my heart rate after York, and that was roughly what I was doing at Lakeland 100. So technically, if my legs and everything didn't, aches and pains just didn't catch up with me, then that would be my 100-mile pace on a flat course.
Yeah, it is.
That'd be interesting.
Then I have another slot. So this isn't your ideal training plan, but nothing is it? The next day after when I have my long run slot, I have 2.5 hours-ish where I need to be in a place before I get another child. So I do a more like hikeable run. I've done that like the last 4 weeks. So it starts with a hike too. So I go straight up a red piece basically, because it's a really good way when you're tired and you're like, oh, I'm so tired, but hike for 20 minutes and then you're sort of warmed up and then it doesn't feel so bad. So I did that, back that up on Friday with a sort of 2.5 hour, I think maybe about just over 2 hours. The last couple of weeks I've done that, I felt okay. And then this one, I was like, oh, proper done. I'm proper done. So that was hard. And then to finish my week, I did a tempo run down to watch football on concrete, 4 miles, basically all out. I wanted to do like a flattish, about half an hour worth of tempo work in there. I had a lot of admin to do and I was late to watch the football match. So I was like, I'll put it in here. Here I go. I've got to get down to start this football game in 30 minutes. And I did it in 27 minutes, 13 seconds. Still didn't set any PRs on any of the segments, but it's the first time in a long time where I've had that so it goes downhill and then it goes uphill. So you're like, I think I would like 6 minute 14, 6 minute 15, So I got to the bottom of the uphill going, I'm already redlining. Where am I going to go with this hill? Up the little incline, and it's on a road. And so people are driving past. So I can't look like I'm dying because I've got to look good because I don't know why you care.
Can't walk in public.
And I got that feeling of like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. Try, like, breathe. Don't go too, hold that heart rate. It was good. Got to the football match. And at halftime, and it was halftime. I was like, oh my God, I could have done 5 minutes slower. And Child had already scored 3 goals and then didn't score any goals in the second half. Well, yes, but I missed any goals. But I did manage to do a little cool down run. So I was going to then do some more miles on Sunday, but I stayed up all night on the Saturday night, Gary, because
pay-per-view boxing.
Pay-per-view boxing. I love a bit of boxing. Not 15, but it was the Kona World Championships, and for this year, the first time ever, it was only women in Kona racing. Last few years, like UTMB, because it's now all sponsored by UTMB anyway, who own the Ironman brand, they've really upped the media game, so they follow the athletes. You can watch the race basically, and watch it right from the swim all the way through to the end. But it starts at 5 p.m. on Saturday night in UK time. So I started watching it on my phone while I was like cooking tea and everything like that. And then I got so invested in it, Gary. And I'm still very invested in that scene. I love following all the pro women triathletes. I love the fact it was women only. Normally I get bored of the media coverage, like UTMB coverage, because what they do is they follow the lead of the race with the men. And then just occasionally they go, well, we just got to wait. We haven't got enough cameras. So we're waiting for the women to come back. And I'm just called BS on that, because you pay more money, you've got so much money, and you have a dedicated women's media team, and you have a dedicated men's team. And frankly, they should have 2 channels now where they have women. You want to watch the women's race, you click on here. If you want to watch the men's race, you click on here. It should not be shared. So
they could make it happen if they wanted to.
They could make, let's face it, we can all make anything happen if we want to. But anyway, this was, so you watched the whole women's race. So it was like first, second, third, sixth. You got to, normally you just, it flashes back to, normally you just see the women's leader every so often, but you go, oh my gosh. And I have invested, people will relate to this, a lot of time in these women who I don't know, but I follow them on social media. I love watching their I just find it so motivational how hard they work. It blows my mind.
Oh, I can't imagine it. It's like anyone who does the 3 disciplines, but then do the volume you need for Ironman.
40 hours a week they train. A British woman won it, who I love. She won it. She led the swim. She basically was the first person, apart from one man, who has led the race from start to finish. And I as I was watching, I was like, this is a big mistake, Eddie. Go to sleep. But I so wanted to see her win live, and I felt so invested in her. And also, I found it so motivational watching a female athlete. She was so composed. The camera was on her for 8 hours, 26 minutes, I think she did it in. She was so composed. She never once looked at the camera. Her fuel, everything she did was meticulous. She was so strong. All her fueling, everything, you could see it was all dialed in. There was no questions. She was absolutely laser focused. So I love that. I took that on board, and I was like, that's how I want to be. I want to be like that. She was so composed.
I've never had that. I wonder if that's quite unsettling, having in the Tour de France, when you've got the motorbike beside you.
The girl that was behind her was really interacting with the motorbike and the camera and talking to them and stuff. And I thought,
energy. That's energy.
Yeah, that's energy. That is why are you you're going off every time you look to the side when you're on a bike, what's going on? But this girl was and I just saw it. So for the sleep, so Sunday I felt pretty. I dragged myself out at 4 p.m. for a very rubbish 5-mile run with the dogs. That was all I managed. I paid for it. Oh, I felt terrible on Sunday, but I also took so much from that, and I loved that. And I know a few people on Facebook on our group also did the same thing. So though it was terrible training, it was so good for just these amazing women. Loved it.
Not a lot of trail running chat in our intros. We've done road marathons and Ironman.
Outside the box,
it is inspiring.
Let's not be those boring people. Let's not do that.
It is inspiring though. I love watching people just crush it and push themselves to the limit.
The girl, Lucy Charles Barkley, who won, she's been second 4 times, and she's had terrible injuries, and she's come back from it. So it kind of like in a very small amount, I can relate to this, like, keep coming back, keep turning up, keep showing up, keep training. Your time will come. That's my week. Good. Ticked off. Another one done.
I love it. I love the 5-5-4-4-3. We should put that as our signature session, but I think I've definitely copied it from somewhere else. I'm not too sure where I saw it, but I absolutely love that 5.
I think it was probably created back in the 18th century. I think every athlete had that in it.
This week's Brew with the Coaches question comes from Patreon, James Coates. This week's question comes from James Coates. I have recently completed my first ultra, 50k, with a 1,100 meters of vert, and I struggled with quad cramps at 38k. This had not been a problem during my training. Subsequently, I did the Yorkshire Three Peaks. The timing was not ideal. It was only 10 days after the 50k, but it was really my only opportunity this summer, so I felt I had to give it a go. This time I struggled with cramps in my calves at 34k. All my long runs and training had similar altitude profiles, and I was doing weights twice a week. For context, on each occasion, I was drinking 500 milliliters per hour of fluids with pH 1000 electrolyte solution and reliably took a gel every 30 minutes. For the first run, it was about 20 degrees heat, and the second, 24 degrees. I used Cramp Fix each time, and this was a bit of a rescue. Oh, I've never heard of Cramp Fix. That's interesting. I know that cramping is a really complex thing that is due to local muscular factors and central neurological factors, but I wondered if you had some advice on this. Was I just pushing myself too hard? Can I train in some way to reduce the risk? Do you think the electrolyte energy could be adjusted in some way? Thanks, James.
Hi, James. Talking about cramp in general as sort of why we get it and therefore what can we maybe do to mitigate it. I guess there's a couple of different theories as to why people experience cramp, which obviously is that sort of really acute, painful muscle spasm sensations that we can get. And first off, there is a theory to do with hydration, electrolytes, because obviously electrolytes being necessary for that cellular processes within our muscles and all of those reactions that need to go on in order for us to exercise and contract muscles. Looking at your fluid balance and your salt and electrolyte balance, particularly sodium and that sort of thing, in theory, would that help us sort of stave off cramps if we can get that right? The other theory is it's more to do with just the fatiguing process within the muscles, and particularly how the nerves then respond to fatigue and how they then innervate the muscles and cause that spasm. So it's like some sort of channel or gate is left open in the muscle and it just continues to fire when it needs, and it causes that spasm and cramp. And I think there's a lot of evidence for that being the mechanism. So it's predominantly a fatigue situation. So after a certain amount of distance or a certain amount of elevation, your muscles will just get fatigued, and then it'll run into this issue, maybe mediated a little bit by those other factors like the salt, electrolyte and water balance as well. Things like the Cramp Fix, my understanding is they're little shots of things you can take to try and stave off or sort of minimize the impact of the cramp, so they make them last less time when they come on, and it can sort of terminate a bad run of cramp. And how they work is they work through that neuromuscular theory, where it's something resets the nerve because it's a really strong flavor or it's a really neurally stimulating thing, and the nerves go, oh, something else to think about, and then they stop innervating the muscles and the cramp sort of subsides. And I think the evidence for it is it doesn't eliminate them altogether, but it can reduce that episode or reduce the frequency of it, but you're still at risk of it coming back if you then continue the training or the run you're doing. So things like Cramp Fix, I think the other things are something called Hot Shot is a similar principle. It's a very hot sort of flavoured thing. And then things like pickle juice was what has been used historically, and certainly still use it in team sports, that sort of thing. Rugby, we used to have some pickle juice on the bag we used to carry onto the pitch to give people. I don't think pickle juice in the ultra situation, when you're kind of battling nausea and all these other things, is probably going to work. But again, that's very much the same principle. Something really vinegary and really sort of, so that just resets the system, gives you something else to think about, and then the muscles then relax and sort themselves out. So they all work on a similar basis. And my advice for that is really of those you can stomach, because I think that's the determining factor. But I'll hand over to everyone else about sort of training and things to mitigate, which are probably better and will probably serve you better than sort of things which you have to then resort to when the cramp comes on. So prevention's always better than cure. And I think looking at other things, training and maybe some to do with electrolytes are things that we can maybe use before we have to resort to things, foul tasting things to stimulate us.
Russell, go on.
Hi, James.
Speak the truth, my faithful friend.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, James, and say it's probably fitness related issue of in personal experience and with the athletes that I coach. If you're not getting cramps in training, but you are getting cramps in the race, it's because you're not replicating well enough the training, the race stresses in your training, and you need to look at upping your training. So personally, something that I found with ultras is long runs at overspeed. So if it was, what were you talking about here? A 50K, you might do 25K faster than your 50K race, so that you are just building this, you're kind of inuring your body and getting it really, really potentiated to the stresses. It's a massive flag for me when someone's training and being like, oh, I never have any problems with cramp at all. Then the race comes and the cramp comes. It's not some magical dehydration that occurs in the race. It's normally a fitness issue where you haven't fully potentiated your legs and your body in the training. So something that I've found that actually is controversial and some people don't use is double days. So you might go out and do 25K fast on the Saturday and then 25K fast on the Sunday, and you're really going to stress the muscular and the skeletal muscles in that process. And it just seems to break them down enough. And if you recover fully on the other end of that, with maybe 4 or 5 very easy days, this is something that Renato Canova, a guy that coaches Kenyan athletes to a very high level, suggested to help stave off cramps, and I found it to be very effective. But basically finding a way that you can really stress the body in training and then give yourself the adequate recovery so that you get that stress plus rest equals growth and you're in a stronger position for the race. The fitter you are, the less problem cramps seem to be. I know that Tom Evans cramped in UTMB to completely contradict what I've just said, but he was going for the win. So he probably had, in all honesty, just pushed too hard too soon for what his body was ready for. And he ended up with cramps. But it does seem to be a thing where the fitter you are, the less it occurs. Sorry to say, it's normally a fitness issue. That shouldn't feel too bad, though. I know it's here with Lake 100 to do a long run faster than race pace. Physically, when I've done that towards the end of the training block, those faster than race pace runs weren't massively taxing, to be honest, because the race pace was spectacularly slow. So I totally empathize with that.
And if you can do that, you should be able to then, it's like almost logical, slow down and do the slightly longer duration in the race without some big surprise coming out of nowhere and hitting you for 6. So yeah, I would definitely recommend trying that. You're doing your long runs, but are you doing them actually faster than race pace? Try that.
I'd also say I don't think you're drinking enough, James. I think you need to, and I think as Russell said, almost stepping back from the races or doing some races as non-races, so that you purposefully start at the back and you go easier, and see if that helps with the absorption of the fluid and the electrolytes and staves off the cramp, and build from there rather than going into each race and this happening, because then it's very hard to work out why it's happening. I think if you take the intensity down a little bit and then actually allow the body to absorb the right amount of fluid and salt, and then build your confidence from there, rather than perhaps going out hard in races and putting races back to back when you probably never really rehydrated from the 2 races. Sort the problem first, rather than like go out and hammer races and then go, I keep getting cramps. Kind of try and take it back to basics and see, find a local trail marathon or something which you're happy to sort of really plod around and see what happens to the body then as well. But I think absolutely key is looking at fluid intake, looking at electrolyte intake, as Rebecca said, and perhaps going back to what's it called? Not the scratch board, the blackboard. Drawing board. That's it, Guy. You jumped in at the right place. Back to the drawing board, building yourself back up, building that fitness back up. Calm down now. Calm down. But I sympathize. Cramp is just the worst. And once it strikes, and then it's very hard to get rid of. And it's horrible if you think it's about to strike as well. That calf cramp is so painful. Trish?
I mean, I agree with Russell that generally it is a fitness thing. So, generally when people get cramp, it's because they've started off too fast, for example, in the race, and then they can't sustain that later on and they start to get cramp. So I would ask James, maybe just think about a couple of things. So you've talked about your long runs and training having similar altitude profiles. What does the rest of your training look like? What do your hard sessions look like? Are you stressing the body to run faster regularly? Are you doing some of your long runs at a faster pace so that again your body understands what that feels like and what those stresses are? So I would just maybe ask yourself some questions about your training, what that looks like, what the structure is to it. And again, I would be saying to you, if you're one of my athletes, then maybe go out a bit slower and ease into the ultra. The distances that you're coming up with cramps say to me that you're probably going too hard for your fitness capacity. And again, cramp is a random thing. We can't. There's no magic kind of solutions to it. But those are the kind of questions I would be asking you if you were one of my athletes. Like, what does your faster running look like and how much of that are you doing? And, your strategy when you're going into an ultra, when you're going into these races, what does that look like at each point of the race?
James, sounds like you've got lots of potential. You're a thinking athlete. I like that. So let us know how you get on, and hopefully we will see you out on the course flying by. No cramps, and you can shout, "I'm Cramp Guy, no more." Thank you so much, Rebecca, Russell, and Trish. Don't forget, if you're a patron, you can send your questions in for the coaches to hello@tandtrails.com.
This week's interview is with Fran Collett. Super interesting story. Fran listened to the podcast. She heard about Lakes and the Day race, thought she'd enter it, then she went and won it. Awesome. Full circle. I absolutely love it. Really enjoyed our chat with Fran, and I hope you do too.
Fresh from an amazing win at the 2023 Lakes in a Day Ultra Marathon, we've got our first, it's not our first medical professional, but our first in-house medical professional in front of the dentist chair, which has given me a slight nervous tick that she might suddenly say to me, "Just to freshen up, Eddie, welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast, Fran Collett. How are you doing?"
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah. No surgery's done for the day. Chairs up. Sorry, Eddie.
What are runners' teeth like? Like, do you get runners in and you go, "Oh," from all those gels and stuff?
Do you know what? I've got the best patients, but not runners so much actually. They're usually ex-miners, and they're just the best patients. They don't want the nice white smile, the Hollywood smile. They just want to be functioning, and I've got the best patients, but not very, very rarely runners. I've had a couple of patients where I comment on their shoes, and I'm like, "Oh, do you run?" And they're like, "No," and it kind of breaks my heart, but yeah, not too many.
My mum's dentist down in Tenby, it listens to the podcast, and my mum doesn't listen to the podcast. She hates anything sporting related, and he then fills her in and what I've been doing and tells her everything, and she's having all this terrible teeth treatment. But and he always says to her, make sure when she's finished all those long runs, she's brushing her teeth, because of course we slam all the gels and everything, don't we? So much sugar, and then perhaps don't brush our teeth again. Well, in the spine, I didn't brush my teeth for 5 days. There was like a film of, I remember and I was so tired at the end, but I remember not not that tired, but I was like, oh my God, my breath must be terrible. Anyway, we've, as always, gone off the plot. So let's start from the beginning. Where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today?
So yeah, I can give away. Where am I? I'm still at work. Unfortunately, the day was a bit mad. So yeah, I'm still here. Where am I?
What's the view? Have you got a view from the surgery window?
It's dark, I have to say, but usually we've got some nice trees and a little road outside and then some pigeons. But yeah, it's dark. Have I been for a run? Not today. I like to go for a spin on Tuesday morning. So I've done my spin, tick, and then I'll go climbing after this, hopefully. I like to have what I call a fun sandwich. So you do something, you have to go to work. That's the boring bit. And then I like to do something before, which is fun, and fun after. That's how it rolls.
I love that fun sandwich. My life is just like fun sandwiches, but my work is quite fun too. Sometimes my work is more fun than the fun bits to me. I just went for a 30-minute run before this, and that was meant to be the fun bit, and it didn't feel much fun. I put on some classical motivational music. That is how much I didn't want to go out the door, and I was like, come on, need something behind me. So tell us a little bit about you, where you've sprung from, what's your sort of history? You've mentioned the climbing. Tell us how you got into ultra running.
Running, I've always kind of run. I don't really race as such. I just love running. Where's the ultras coming? I have a motto in my friendship group, more is more. So I really like to run. So why don't I just do longer runs? So yeah, I've just been enjoying the longer and the longer and the longer. And the reason I entered the Lakes and Day was from a friend was like, yes, a really good fun day out. And I was like, I think it was like 3 weeks before, and I was like, I've got nothing on that weekend. I'll give it a whirl. So that's how I ended up doing it. In fact, she recommended me that, and then I was out doing just a long run on leg 2 and 3 of the Bob, just a guy.
Just for fun, leg 2 and 3, just for like. Fun. Okay, this is explaining a lot.
That's a cracking day out. and this guy, actually, he gave me a lift back, to where I'd left my car, and he kind of was like, yeah, it's a great day out. So Andrew Merrick, big shout out, thank you very much, and yeah, it was a great recommendation. What a great day.
So you didn't have time to like recce the route or anything before, did you? Or did you know the route?
2 weeks before. So I had one weekend in between. I convinced my best friend in the whole wide world to take me up to the Lake District, to drop me off at the top. And then I recce'd up to Ambleside on the Saturday, and then Ambleside to the end on the Sunday. And then she picked me up at the end. It was just, you don't get, the opportunity to run a straight line route often. So I was so grateful. And in fact, it was way tougher to do the recce. So then the race day was really easy. Well, no, it wasn't easy.
What were your logistics? What were your logistics? So did you run to Ambleside with your kit and then stay in the hostel or something and then carry on the next day?
It was pure bougie. So I sound so high maintenance. This has never happened before. It will never happen again.
Yeah.
Unless she's offering, in which case I will. So she drove me up to Colbeck. She went on a little 10K. Then we met in Ambleside, and there's part of the mountaineering club, Midlands Associations of Mountaineers, and they've got a little hut there. So we just stopped over in that hut on the Saturday night, and then she dropped me off again in Ambleside and carried on to the end.
That doesn't sound too bougie to me. I thought you were going to say we stayed at the local 5-star spa and had some champagne, and I was like, going to go, oh, good on you. But that still sounds like pretty. You touched a little bit on the climbing there. Tell us a little bit about because I did some Instagram stalking, and your Instagram is not full of running; it's full of amazing climbing. I've got massive. I couldn't do it, but wow, amazing. Tell us about that.
Isn't it? It's social media though, so all of my time is spent running, but no one takes any pictures of me. I'm not hanging around for that. So
you're not jumping over the camera and stuff like that. You're not stopping, setting the camera up, and then pretending you're running past.
Gary, I won't stop
my life.
Hours, let alone taking pictures. But no, for sure. So yeah, my Instagram is when you're kind of sedentary or at the bottom of the crowd, when else to do. There's people around, isn't there? But running, there's no time to take pictures. Climbing wise, Yeah, I would say it fills up the days that you can't run. Personally, I don't like to, run every day. So climbing's a good medium, and it does some strengthy bits, but it's not running.
Has it played into your skill set, like the climbing? Like, has it helped your running and vice versa? Is there any way they complement each other?
I do think that what's great is I can't sit down. So if you have a big day running, you can go climbing the next day, fine, no problems. The other half of you is completely rested. So that's really great. That's why I really like to complement the two. You have a big climbing day, you can still go running, vice versa. But in all honesty, I'm still scared of wet rocks, I have to say. So no, I don't know.
Wet rocks when you're running, or wet rocks when you're climbing, or both?
Both, actually, to be fair. But I know there was a question did it help me, like in the route, because it's like Hawes Fell, which we actually didn't run in the end, but I'd recce it the week before, and as in 2 weeks before, and it was absolutely terrifying. Like I'm a happy soloer. I'm quite happy solo, long routes, 250-meter routes, or loads of routes at Stanwich, no problems. But the going down that scramble is absolutely terrifying.
Especially when it's wet. It's super greasy. I think over the years, so many people have been down there. It's just like super smooth. I don't know if you've been there recently, Eddie, but the rocks are just so smooth with just the sheer amount of people. I'm curious, you're saying 250 meters. I remember years and years and years ago, I was in Yosemite National Park and I looked up at El Capitan, I think it is, and I saw the little dots. You'd like to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would love to. That would be amazing. But I think I would love to be climbing at my absolute best if I got there. And also, I don't actually know if I do. I think it seems idyllic, doesn't it? But in reality, you'd have to go on a portaledge or whatever, and that means you have to sit still for a little while, which you'll probably gather is, the idea of sitting in a portaledge, I can't imagine anything worse. Is
that because you have to rest a bit because it's so long, or?
It's really long, and so you'd have to be really going some to get it in a day. Some people do, but I wouldn't manage it in a day.
There's a whole world I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about climbing. But I only have the most respect because, and I guess that's how people feel. Like when you say ultra running, people are like, how do you run that far? Because I just can't get my head around 20 press ups is hard enough without.
And you mentioned leg 2 and leg 3. I've got to ask, is there a Bob Graham on the horizon?
Do you know what? I'm not sure, Gary. I don't know. I really enjoy it as so the first time I had an idea of it as a concept was earlier this summer when a friend tried to do a Bob, and she did really well, but the conditions were awful. And it's like July, it was absolutely horrendous. I don't know how it's so bad. The idea, it was so much fun because you have all your friends about, and that was the fun bit. So then I spent so many weekends up in the Lake District thinking, oh, this is really, really fun. But I'm not sure it's the answer. I'm not sure it's for me. So it's a long time. It's a long way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a long way. But once you've entered into that support network, then eventually your turn will come, Fran.
I won't pass over your details, Fran. Don't worry, otherwise it'll start crying. So if you set a date, let me help you.
Should we move on to Lakes and a Dale? You said about why you did it and what got you on the start line. But what would I'm curious on your local trails, what it's like running where you live, and what would a typical week be like for yourself running? You've said about your climbing, running. So yeah, if you could just expand on
your
that.
Fun sandwiches. Tell us what's in your fun sandwiches.
Every day is a fun sandwich, Eddie. It's a fun sandwich. So I live in Sheffield, which I'm so grateful for. I moved here about 3 years ago originally I came from Cambridge, which is the flattest place in the entire universe. And then I moved up to Birmingham, and when I was studying, thought that was hilly. Now I'm in Sheffield, which is like the dream. You can run out of my house and I can be in the Peak District in 6 miles or so. So it's, I'm still in that kid in a candy shop kind of thing where I feel naughty on the weeknights. I can get out and have that much fun on an evening. It feels naughty. It shouldn't be allowed to have that much fun. And I still not get over it 3 years later. I think to the annoyance of people that I run with, I'm like, have you seen that? And they're like, yeah, we see that every week. And I'm still like, oh yeah, I just forgot I'll go to it. So I would say I probably run 3 or 4 times a week, not I do like my cycling as well and my climbing. I love, guilty admission, I love the gym as well. I absolutely love it. I love it all. More is more. Yeah, and running wise, what do I get? I just get in whatever I can. If there's, an early morning session, that's brilliant. I say session, I mean, I get out the door. I don't have any kind of structure at all. I've always gone for like easy, enjoyable miles. And if there's a friend there, that's great. If there's not, then I listen to you guys.
Oh, wow. I love sharing the miles with friends.
Oh, yeah. Anything, please. Everybody join me. Everyone. I almost bribed a child tonight. I was like, do you want to come out on your bike? Do you want to just talk to me? No, thanks, Mum. It's dark and cold.
I'm curious. I got a few friends who did Lakes in the Day, and he didn't camp. He slept in his car. But did you do that whole camp and then get the bus up from Cartmel? It's such an early start.
I have to say, I'm one of those annoying 5 a.m. girls. So I was up already. It wasn't a struggle. I did it. Yeah, I did do the camping, and last minute I didn't have all the bits and bobs that I needed for the race. On my way, literally to drive to the Lake District, I went past Decathlon to get me waterproof trousers, and I bought a tent. So I bought myself a big bougie tent, what I like to call the party tent.
Yay.
And so then it was like, 40-mile-an-hour winds and pissing down with rain when I got there. And I had to try and figure out how to put up a new tent. It's a 4-man, but it's enough for like 8 men. So that was a bit of excitement. But it meant I had a party tent. So yeah, I did do the camping. I had like a giant tent myself. It was the most luxurious kind of living. Had a little party in my own tent, and yeah, no problems on the 5 a.m. start. And then you get the bus up, and I shared like a seat in between two ladies, and then they were really, really lovely, totally inspiring. And I remember distinctly one saying, "Oh, do you know the course?" Yeah, I know the course. And I was like, "Yeah, I just went and I just recced it 2 weeks ago." She's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have been recovered by now." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing." So there was a little bit of what's the word? Choose who you sit next to carefully.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't talk to anyone. I think you were brave to strike up conversation. I'd have put the old AirPods in and been like far too sick. Bus journey. So it's like the bus journey in did it go from Coniston for the Lakeland 50? Oh my god, through the worst road ever. And it's and you just don't want to get there, but you want to get there because it's just horrendous. Anyway.
Oh no, I sat right at the front. I wasn't, not doing the cool thing and sitting in the back. I was literally like, get me at the front. I was gonna be sick otherwise, but
Well, you did recover. 2 weeks was enough. So yeah, spoiler, but could you talk us through your day? I'm really curious how it went.
I hate to be that person, but it was literally like just a fully great day. It was literally perfect. So the weather wasn't absolutely, ideal, but I kind of enjoyed that. And so we started out from the bus, got off. Everyone was super friendly. There was a guy that I remember queuing up for the toilet. Again, I was literally there with the elbows out. I'm going first, I need a wait. There's a guy who's done it, was his 8th time. And everyone just chats, and they started chatting. And luckily, I bimbled over to the start. I wasn't 100% where it was because that's the extent of my navigation. I was like, follow the crowds. Then they said at the start, the river crossing's not open because of the terrible weather. And I thought, oh no, I have no idea. If it's not the original route, I have no idea where I'm going. So this will go terribly. So that was a little bit worrying, but we all set off, and I just lummoxed along. I was pretty close to the back there, just enjoying my time. And it's really hard to remember the first bit. It kind of just, it went, I was just enjoying every footstep. I think actually, no, that's a lie. I think very early on at that early point, I realised the mug that I'd brought was digging into my back, and I probably should have changed it at that point.
Oh yeah, I've had that before. That's horrible, isn't it?
Why do you need to bring a full-on mug? Anyway, yeah. I had this giant, almost china mug right into my kidney, and I was too stubborn to change it the whole way. Anyway, it was probably about the earlier stages that I realised that. And I kind of was looking around. There was a Tea and Trails t-shirt there, which I saw.
Awesome.
I was going to catch on to that, guy. I needed one of those. just poodled along until we got to the river crossing, and it was actually open, which I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I know the way then. It was manned, so anyone that would be worried about crossing it, I wouldn't be.
It's got a rope, hasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's people there. Wow, these volunteers, they literally stand in that river with their waders on.
No. I love a river crossing though. I don't find like torrents of water don't give me I prefer a river crossing to wet slab at a 90-degree angle any day, because you could, like, if you lose your feet, you're just going to get wet and potentially drown.
Why not? Exactly. Why wouldn't you love it?
So when did they say about the route change from Blencathra? They didn't let you go down Hall's Fell, obviously.
Yes, so that was a little bit further on, but so we just put up to Blencathra, which I was really pleased with, because and then when we got to Blencathra, they're like, it's the bad weather route. So I had no idea where we were going, but I was actually running with a girl there called, I think she was called Hannah, and that was really nice to just like chat. And we were like, I don't know where you're going. You don't know where we're going. Let's go together.
So was it marked? Did they mark it, or did you have to?
No, it wasn't marked. But you followed a track at that point, so that was good. But at least Hannah knew we were following the track. I would have absolutely had not a Scooby. She was like, just follow the path. And then she was very diligently going, because it down to the car park, down to Threlkeld really, and they had some quite like bends, and then I just straight lined it, and I was like, I'm so sorry, Hannah, see you later. But yeah, straight down into Threlkeld, and it went absolutely fine. Looking back, I'm actually really pleased it didn't go down Horsfell, because it would have been a bit scary actually.
Yeah, if they're in those conditions, let's not dice with injury.
I know there was a couple of guys that I caught up to me, and I'm a bit sad because they wanted to get like a PB.
Whatever.
I was there like, oh, what a shame. Oh, disaster. I was yeah, exactly. And then down into Threlkeld. I think the food stations were amazing. I didn't really stop around. Again, probably a rookie, Eric, is I'm new to the whole malarkey. I brought so much food, I didn't need to stop at any checkpoint. No, later on I dumped it all because I just bought too much.
What's your nutritional choice? What do you eat, drink?
Oh, Eddie, I wish I was professional enough to have it down. I can tell you what I chose, which is not what I'd recommend anyone take. Banana cake, that was okay, but quite heavy. And then loads of chocolate biscuits, and they just got stuck in my mouth. Awful.
Why? Without much moisture.
I was just panicking, me being me, that I was just going to get like an instant hole. They were just stuck there for like 10 hours. So I've never had a filling, and there was me going along like, I've got to stop, I've got to brush. I was really nervous. So I had some mini Mars bars. Again, they were pretty hard to stomach. Some choc block things, and they were probably the only good thing that I took. Oh, and some gels, but that was my second use of a gels. I've had one gel before in my life, and
oh wow,
yeah, and they were fine. They were okay. I haven't nailed it, I have to say, but that's what I took, and about a kilo of that. Like I say, I dumped it at Finsbury. Like I was like, I'm sorry guys, but I am not taking this any further. So yeah, then the route carried on up to Clough Head. And it's a bit of a weird one. If you know the Bob Graham route, I think it's
it's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, I prefer the Bob route. But
I think they must have done that just to fell erosion, I suppose. That's the only reason why I can think they do it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's just not as good. And I got a little bit lost there, but just plodded up. And then it was all like white. And then it was just like I was following the line on my watch, and the weather was pretty rubbish. And then going along, the tops, couldn't really see anything. It was just getting blown around. No one was with me at that point. I was like, you pass people. And then along Helvellyn Ridge, when you got to there, it was just, it was unbelievable. Like, I've been in bad conditions. Those are probably the worst conditions I've been in. Like, you could barely, I was getting blasted around. I was trying to hold on to my poles for my dear life, and I could just see them going down the edge. And you just it would just come and then just knock you off your feet. And then I was like, oh man, I should have put a jacket on at that point. But I was there I'm just going to carry on moving. But
it wasn't really cold, though, was it? I know it was wet and windy, but I Oh no, I got it wrong, have I?
It was so cold up there. My hands were like, although
Okay.
I say I was trying to hold on to my poles, I couldn't feel them. I had no idea. But I was just too stubborn to stop. I was like, just carry on and it will end. But it seemed to go on forever and ever and ever. And it didn't really get any better until you came right the other side of the Helvellyn Ridge and dropped down to Grisdale. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to survive. I'll put a jacket on now. I think I'd passed a few girls there, but I haven't really noticed it. I was literally just like survival mode. But it was interesting. It was fun, you know.
What was your sort of like work rate there? Were you like working quite hard because you were trying to keep warm, or was you like still relatively like really comfortable?
No, I actually was in my head. I was like survival mode. Let's just get up and get down. Like it was. I don't want to like big. It was actually quite.
You were
the conditions there.
you were like, I can't stop here because literally if I stop, I'll get hypothermia and die. Well, you don't need to, we can dramatize anything as well. Like you can
yeah. I nearly died.
Yes, it's like Saving Lives at Sea. Do you ever watch that? Is it on ITV, Saving Lives at Sea? And they're always like, she was minutes away from death had she stopped. And you're like, didn't they just rescued her off the pier? She was all right.
Yeah.
She could have just walked in. No, but seriously,
It sounds so much better. No, I was minutes away from death.
No. But I can imagine, you can imagine those conditions, like, look, we've talked, do you remember Elsie Davis? And she went up and she was like, I had no light. I had no, you are, you can't hang around, you can't stop. And you're like every sense is going, get moving, get off this.
And that Helvellyn Ridge, to one side, it is quite a nasty drop, not a nice drop. It's quite a nasty drop if you get blown down there. Yeah. When you said you passed a few girls, I know you finished first and there was Rachel and Shirley, I think the other two ladies on the podium. Was it those two, or are you literally blissfully unaware who it was?
So I had an inkling because at the river crossing, the guy was like, "Oh, you're fifth girl," and I was like, "Oh, great, yeah, wicked." I mean, I started right, at the back, so I was assuming I was about that, and then just as I was going up the ridge, there was someone that I recognised through a friend called Holly Wooten. She's like a running coach, and I followed her. She's fast, and she actually got her jacket caught. And I tried to, I did. I managed to undo it just right as we were going on that ridge. And that was not before I do have to apologise. Sorry, Holly. I pushed her because I fell on a rock. So I pushed her first and then I unhooked her. So sorry about that, Holly.
We're getting the gist of what you like. Don't worry, we get it. Push first.
But as that happened, I noticed, I thought, she's really fast. I'm sure she will have been at the front. What am I doing up here? But again, just survival mode, get to the end. So I didn't know where I was in the field, but I was guessing between like fifth-ish and upwards. But I had no idea who was in front of me at that stage. Yeah.
And did you get any more intel further down the course? I know you said the river crossing, they said fifth, but Ambleside, are they shouting out?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ambleside. So yeah, when you had the most amazing descent into Ambleside. I have no idea how. I can't remember. Oh, I met a friend. So I was coming down that big step down into, once you're coming down into Ambleside, there's a little bit of a horrible step. Again, I like climbing, but it's even quite a drop off. Met a friend there, and he helped me to just amble down, just in case I fell. But also he mentioned, "Oh, I think you're second girl," and I was like, "I think you're probably incorrect, but that's nice." And then I was running through Ambleside, and I saw there was a girl in front of me, and I'm pretty competitive. I have to admit, I saw her leaving the checkpoint, and as I was coming in, I was like, "That's my target. That's who I want to go and get next." And I just kept that in mind for ages. And after Ambleside, I didn't feel 100% like, great, but I still felt really pretty good. So I was just riding the high, and I was just thinking, that's who I want to come. And I think it was Shirley. Sorry, Shirley. That'd be
You're on the hunt. I love it.
I think I didn't actually notice passing her down from Ambleside. And then when you're going around Windermere, it was so swollen. The river was the lake is so swollen that it was actually like a swim, to be honest with you.
How long did that go on for? I've seen some pictures over on Facebook, but how long were you like wading through water?
That felt like so long, but like it wasn't even like wading. Like for me, it was like up to the bra line. It was.
Oh my God.
There was a point where I just started swimming. Okay, a lot of it was just skin high. I was doing a front crawl. Probably would have been easier to just wade, but like to be drama. I thought, oh, I've gone the wrong way, but I'd done the recce and I knew it was on my GPS and I knew that was the right way. But I thought, oh, people have just nipped over the fence and gone on the field. Plumbing idiot here. I was like, no, but they'll see me on the tracker. I can't go like 2 meters over there. So I carried on, and then I actually caught up to a guy that was doing exactly the same thing. So I felt justified, and I carried on and I kept saying to myself, like, it was really tiring to carry on waiting because it was a long time. It felt like forever, and I was just thinking, yeah, but everyone else is getting tired too. Like it was tiring after, being cold. And then just doing that motion, which you're not particularly used to. It came and it went. And I knew what was coming up from the recce because it had been pretty waterlogged then, but I wasn't expecting it to be a
piscine.
And what's the course like? I'm really curious because I know the first half, or a good chunk of the first half. And in my mind, I'm visualizing the second half as more, obviously from Ambleside on, as more runnable. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's more runnable. To be honest with you, my heart's in the first half. I love the first half kind of terrain. And I wasn't looking forward to the second half as much, just because it's a little bit more road. And I think there's pointless up and downs. Like if you look at the map, you can get there quite efficiently and you've got to go up all these higgledy-piggledy things. But again, because I'd recce'd it 2 weeks before, like there was loads of trees down and it was just a lot less friendly. So then when they did it on the race day, I think they must have cleared up the route and it just went a lot more swimmingly and possibly was, better fueled and had to catch Shirley. So, I was enjoying it.
So when did you catch Shirley? I'm really curious. And then I suppose once you passed her, were you running scared? I love that psychology once you get in the front.
Yeah. I'm somewhere in between Hawkshead and the end of Windermere, I believe, because I could see her and I was, maybe 100 meters in front, behind, sorry. And I could see her and I was like, no problem. My legs are still feeling fresh. And she just went. I was like, where did she go? She must be miles ahead. Like she must have steamed ahead. I kept pushing because I knew, I was like, she's going to push, but I'm going to push harder. Then I got to Finsthwaite, which is the last checkpoint. And the lady said, oh no, you're first girl to come through here. And I was like, how peculiar, I've not passed anyone. And I caught up with her at the end. I think she had just taken a wrong turning. So she had just, which is quite nice because I don't actually like that tussly moment as you go past. Like,
I was just going to ask. I was like, were you sad you didn't get the moment to go past?
No, absolutely not. No, that's perfect.
Keep going.
I don't like confrontation. I'd much.
No, it's awkward, isn't it? You're like, do you want to chat? I don't mind. Like, where should we go with this? It's like breaking up with a boyfriend.
My tactic is to run really. If you can keep them inside, like keep it really slow, and then get some energy back, and then absolutely slam it, and then get out their sight. Yeah, that would be.
You've got to get out. You've got to get out.
Love it. Super competitive.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is how you win races, isn't it?
True. Yeah. That's why.
How did you feel then when you crossed that finish line first?
I was absolutely shocked, amazed, ecstatic. It was just like the perfect day. It was so good. The vibes were so good. Everyone was so happy. All the volunteers were absolutely amazing. They were so encouraging. I was just like on cloud nine. I was so happy. Yeah.
Do you think the conditions played into your hands because you felt quite comfortable like being out there, that you kind of like enjoyed it in some ways rather than tried to battle it?
Yeah, I do think I was. Yeah, I'm actually not that good a runner, but I'm pretty stubborn. So I kept thinking that. I was like, I am so stubborn. Doesn't matter what the weather's going to do. I'm going to, whereas I think perhaps, other people are more talented at running, but less adverse to the weather. So yeah, I do think I was lucky with the weather.
Did you put on the decathlon waterproof trousers?
Absolutely not. No.
They're fresh for another day. They're fresh. I bet they're pretty handy. Yeah. I bet they're pretty good because they're probably exactly the same, made by Salomon's company. They're just not branded up.
But the mug that dug in, the reason I mentioned that, I was so ready for my kit check, and no one kit checked me. And then I was like, no, come on, kit check me. And so they kit checked me. And but that mug, my legs are okay the next day. I'm still struggling with where the mug was niggling the whole way around. I thought, okay, note to yourself, don't be so stubborn that you don't stop and get that sorted first. Yeah.
Also, perhaps if there's something that you might need, I would say mug. If you had got very cold and you wanted a cup of tea, it sounds like it was quite far in your pack. And that might be something that you want to get out at the top. Don't want to make suggestions for what sounds like you've got a good system going on there. What about
I take all suggestions.
What about trainer choice? Gary loves knowing what was your trainer choice in this.
Again, rookie, absolutely rookie. I was sat in my party tent the day before. I have about 4 pairs of shoes. I didn't know which ones to wear, so I had all terrible options. And I had the Sportiva Cyclones, which I've worn quite a lot over the summer, and just they were horrible. They're
the ones with a little kind of funny boa clicky.
Yeah. They look terrible. They hurt my feet, but I've worn them quite a lot. And then I had some Adidas. The ones with the deep lugs, which I'd worn for 2 fell races, and I'd loved them. And then I had a Rogue pair, which I tried to buy exactly the same pair of those again because they were perfect. But I'd actually bought gone on Sports Direct, and they were the short version.
Oh no!
So 3 pairs of rubber shoes, and then I got my normal Sportivas with holes in. I was like, what do I do? And I sat in my party tent at 11 o'clock the night before, which shoes should I wear? And I went Rogue, went for the Adidas ones, and they were absolutely sensational. Didn't hurt a bit. They I've never worn them before. Classic. Don't try something new on the day. They were absolutely perfect. I would recommend to a friend.
I'd love to try. Was it Tom Evans on Western State? He had the new Adidas carbon plated shoes. Oh my goodness, I'd do anything.
Would you? Hit up Tom. Ask for you probably he's got man size feet, Tom, though. He looks like he's a man, Gary.
6.5.
Who's on the women's? Maybe isn't Ruth Croft? Maybe hit up Ruth Croft rather than Tom.
Yeah, I don't mind if I'm wearing lady shoes. All my shoes are lady shoes. They look super fast though.
Your race report sounds so positive, Fran. Any lows? Any bits where you thought, why? What the hell? Or pretty chipper?
Let's say I do have terrible running days, but that was not one. It was all great from start to finish. Would definitely recommend it.
Do you think if you went into it again and you're defending champ, you would enjoy it as much because there would be pressure on you? You're the target. Do you think you'd sell it?
I don't think so. I think I'm still pretty. I don't think no one will recognise me, and so I think I'm pretty safe on
10,000 downloads this podcast, Fran. You're out there. You'll be.
I'm not sure. This one could be the most boring yet. I'm talking about my blimmin' boring shoe selection, and
the party tent. I love it.
The party tent. I'm dead. I want to know what went down in the party tent. If you were there, did you see the party tent? Yeah. You got that flashlight rocking. You got your Kindle going. You got your jet
oil. Next door was raging.
God,
zipper up, the zipper down. Is that not me? Is that you, Gary? I can't see. Are you next? What's next, or is that me?
You can do all of that.
Yeah. I can do all of it. Oh, thanks.
I hogged loads of questions. So you can go.
You did. I was like, this is lovely. I'm just listening. No, it's great. So late today, is it British medium distance? I get confused. British medium distance ultra trail supersonic champion now. What's next? Have you got a plan for anything else this year?
Oh, I never have a plan. If someone's like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" So long as it's with friends, I'll do it.
What's in your sandwich box for the rest of the year, or maybe even next year? Have you got anything already in mind?
I'm going to try and do more fell races. So that's I would like to do, because I've done 2 this year and they were absolutely so much fun. So yeah, those are my big ones. And then I said I'd probably not do any more long ones, but I have signed up to the Lakes Traverse as well. Inspired by you, of course.
Oh, see you there.
Yeah. So it's all your fault, Eddie.
Come and do all county tops as well. Get yourself another lady or a male. You can have a mixed team. Come and do the all county tops if you like a fell race. That's a big deal. It's great.
Yeah.
Might see you then.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Okay. So I like this. You're like, no more long races, but now I'm going to sign up for a now big 100K back over in the Lake Districts as well. Oh, and have you got any like bucket list races that you're like, I so want to do that?
Do you know what? I think I'm just too new to it all to know what's going on. I'll no bucket list races, but for sure, you know, I'll keep listening to the show, and then you guys will just inspire me to go, oh yeah, that's great. Although I have to say, not the spine. That sounds absolutely
never say that. You know, if you say it's like the spine fairy. If you say never, not, it's like then you're like, and you'll be like this, Fran, because you are like this. You'll be like, I'm too scared to do it. That means I should do it because I am being told I can't do it. It really scares me. So I should do it because otherwise the spine's won. The spine is winning because you're too scared.
How do I sign up? Can I sign up?
Enter. So are you like, do you think like 100 mile? Is that something that you like think maybe, or are you just going to go with the flow?
No, it sounds far too far. 50 miles was like the perfect day. Starting the sunrise and finishing the sunrise. 50 miles was perfect.
So much more sensible. And also like now you're pretty like within like the next day's a bit traumatic, but you can have a burger and you can like walk around and rehydrate. And then within like 3 or 4 days, you're back to almost normal, aren't you? Like 100 miler. Yeah. They do.
I think, no, you're right. I couldn't live with I think that is the big thing, is like the not being able to run. Like the actual, I do think more is more, but the recovery from that's unquestionable.
And also you're super young and fresh and bendy. Go and do all these like really fast, amazing things.
Yeah, just do the long stuff when you get old and slow.
Like slow and can't bend your legs. And I tried to jump a log earlier and I was like, mechanical elasticity left.
Awesome. It's been a treat. I've got the old achy face again.
Yeah.
Should we do the quick five? Actually, oh god,
Gary's made the quick five. I always make the quick five, and Gary got in there. So apologise for.
Okay. These are great questions. I do say so myself.
Oh, he's so proud of them. He actually read them out to me before.
Well, one of them I can't take credit for, actually, so I will acknowledge my inspiration for that. But the first question is, we're going for a run, Fran, in the Dales, Peak District, sorry. And we're going to go for a little slice of cake and a cup of tea. Any good cake stops on your running routes?
Guilty. I really don't stop, actually. No, I'm so sorry. I mean, I'll get always to the cafe afterwards, but I would say my favourite one is probably Hathersage. There's a really great cafe in Hathersage. It's right next to Outfit.
I've been there. I know exactly. I've been there.
Stelly, maybe?
Yeah, amazing. I went and did a La Sportiva like run trip years ago, like decades ago. And then I remember that amazing cafe, and we literally just went there for about 15 times until they threw us out the whole weekend.
I love a cafe at the end of a run. I love it.
Yeah. Oh my God, is there anything?
It's got to be at the end. You've got to earn it. You can't go halfway through.
I wouldn't. I'd say I couldn't, unless I was cycling. Always a coffee stop for a
Well,
bike
sometimes
ride.
I did a Bob Graham recce once. It was leg 5, and we ran to Honest Slate Line, had a little fuel up a coffee and cake, and then ran back to Keswick again. So yeah, definitely, I agree. At the end of the run, but sometimes
bit different if you're in the mountains, because the refuges are really good to stop at, because that's
exactly.
You don't get that at the end often as well. You're in a car park somewhere on a random trail. The refuges are at the best bit. Sorry, Gary.
Next question. Sorry. Okay, forget about cafes. Eddie and I are going to bang on your door for tea one evening. What are you going to cook us? What's your signature dish?
Oh, ramen. That's cool. Yeah, I can only cook one thing, and it's going to be, and I'm veggie, so it's going to be tofu on top. But
that's fine.
I absolutely love ramen.
Yeah, welcome tomorrow. Get a quick follow.
With all the little bits that look really aesthetically.
Yeah, and with it. Oh, I love that. My husband does that. He adds like chopped up spring onions and nuts and bits, and I'm like, this is like a professional. He loves it all. I just slap it on and mix it up.
Have you had that one in, what's it called? Is it Wagamama's? And it's vegan, and they make a little, it's not an egg, obviously, but it looks like an egg. It is absolutely wild.
Anything from Wagamama's.
Oh yeah.
I'm a bit hungry. Let's come on. Who do we have to see?
Okay, you've just took the lead in a race. You come to a gate, and Shirley and Rachel are just behind you. Did you keep the gate open, or did you slam it behind you?
No, I think you want to win, and you want them to like them. You want to win well. So you always open the gate if it's if they're close enough, or if there's no like sheep that are going to get out and can leave it open. That's ideal.
Do the big push so they can see you doing the big swing.
Oh, no, because that can go terribly. Then you just might knock them out. No, if it's going to open and stay open, then no, you don't want to knock them out and then be like, yeah, she only won because she killed her on the gate. That would be terrible.
Took the competition out.
Yeah, exactly. That would be awful. It's the worst kind of win. A fair win. So open the gate.
Next question. Well, if you listen to this podcast, Adam Buxton, wow, that would blow my mind if Adam Buxton listened to this podcast. But yeah, I was listening to Adam Buxton's podcast today, and he was talking about this on his show. So yeah, thanks, Adam. Think back to your teenage years and what posters would be on your bedroom wall. Come on, Eddie, you got answers too.
Oh, I've got it.
I know exactly. There was only one thing that was on my wall, was like pictures of ponies on my wall.
Did you get Horse and Pony magazine?
What was it? The Pony Mag.
The Pony Mag.
Pony Mag. I don't know if they still do that, but I think the Horse and Pony was a bit too developed. It's a bit expensive, but it's a bit.
I never got them. My mum and dad used to go to the jumble sales, and people used to sell like boxes of the old ones, so they used to bring me home those. But often the posters were gone. The posters were gone, so I'd have to cut the pictures out. But I didn't mind.
Yeah. I didn't have wallpaper. I just had ponies everywhere.
Gary, who was on your wall? Sunderland, Alan Shearer.
Oh, goodness me, Alan Shearer, hell's bells. No, it probably would have been Terminator, Star Wars, Sunderland Football Club, that kind of thing. I used to love Arnie when I was a kid. Yeah, what about you, Eddie?
It was Horse and Pony posters. And then I moved on to Luke Perry and Beverly Hills 90210. Oh my God, he was a dream boy.
Okay, next question is, your smartphone is bust and you can't go and buy a new one. You need to delete all of your apps apart from one. Which one are you going to keep?
Do you know what? I'm absolutely incredible at busting my iPhones, as my friend will testament to, and I'm very happy to wait a good month before I get a new one, because I'd be like, sorry guys, can't communicate, but I've not got a phone. It's a perfect excuse. I would keep WhatsApp so that I can still message people for plans.
Exactly. That I would leave everything. Yeah, WhatsApp, so that I can make run plans.
Yeah.
That's probably my most used app. Yeah, WhatsApp. Next question.
Strava, Gary. How would you manage without Strava, Gary?
I'm terrible on Strava. Okay, next question, or the last question, sorry, is every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, and we like to put a song to our Instagram story, but it's your choice, Fran, what song that will be. What are you going to go for?
I knew this question was going to come up, so I did think about it. Someone called Abby Sampa. She's a dentist, so she must be cool. Yeah, I would love to say the name of the song, but I'm going to butcher it. It's like
I'm going to put her in. Abby
Sampa.
Oh, it's Abby ABI. She's cool. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here we are. Artist. She's got like a red fringe.
I wish I'd practiced how to say it. Absolute cracker, but not that one.
Okay, hold this. Obviously not that. Damas Colando, live in Glastonbury.
You're doing really well at getting them out. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. It's Man Kunto Maula.
That's it. I've got it here.
Yeah. And I don't know if I was listening to that exact song for 3.5 hours, because I didn't notice it's about like 8 minutes long or something, or if I was actually going through her whole album, but they're all cracking. It's slow to build, but if you like roll it onto about 6 minutes and 20 seconds, I practiced, it's an absolute, it's a cracker. All right, so I was driving through the peak, and I was just getting so psyched. It's getting me chills now. So it has to be that
I
song.
love it. I love when a piece of music can do that to you, and I love a piece of music that you can listen to on repeat as well. And you're just like, I sometimes go a whole run if I get stuck on a bit of music that I'm just like, I love this. I'm vibing with this, so I'm going to keep it.
I was singing
It sounds like my daughter.
down the
That's what
fells,
she
I have to
does.
say. I have no idea what it means, but I was absolutely blasting it down some of them.
I can just visualize that as a sunrise on some rocky ridge running along, sun coming up. That would be beautiful.
I mean, it was more white out with 40 miles an hour winds, and I was just trying to stay alive and thinking, shall I just start singing because you can't get any worse? But no one can hear me up here.
No one can hear me. No one can save me.
No one can hear you scream.
I'm going down singing.
Oh, Fran, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Super well done on a race, and you're super humble, but I know that there's great things to come in whatever you choose to do. And other girls that get to race with you are very lucky because obviously you're kind and thoughtful. And hopefully we might meet on the trails. Well, we will definitely meet on the trails at Northern Traverse. I will be sad and gribbling along, and you'll be full of beans eating.
I'll be slamming the gates.
Yeah.
You said you weren't going to slam it. I thought you were really nice. Now look at you. Keep us posted with what you're up to, and keep spreading the podcast love. You're number one podcast. Now you've got that trophy. I mean, you could endorse us as well. We could use you as like an intro, British
a little quote
champion.
I mean, it is your guys' fault that I entered. Again, you were talking about it too much, and I thought,
let's get that. You get those adverts with like, I owe all my success to
exactly.
I'll take it.
You don't have to say it. I mean, I could send you a script and you could say something.
Absolutely, no one will pay attention, but I would be more than happy to say it.
Oh, so nice to meet you, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Fran. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Fran. We cannot wait to start following your journey, seeing where ultra running and the trails take you next.
Tales from the trails. And first thing we always do is pop over to our Strava club. Check us out over on Strava if you'd like to be in with a chance of being top of the charts. But yeah, Sarah Perry, 266.4 miles. And she took part and completed the Lon Las Ultra, not like my little journey across rails where I had a nice little sleep at the end of the day and it was baking hot. Theirs was a non-stop journey, and I saw a lot of waterproof action going on over there. And big shout actually too to James Parsons, who has been a guest on the podcast, and yeah, he took the overall win. If you're running 266 miles, then you probably spent quite a lot of time on your feet too. So Sarah Perry took the top of the charts for that. Yeah, 81 hours, 45 minutes and 1 second. I just can't. To do that non-stop just absolutely blows my mind. And I think too, unlike the trails, this course, there is a lot of tarmac. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild. Then the elevation, 20,285 feet, went to Jamie Allen. Oh my gosh, how do I pronounce this? Dalmacia Ultra Trail Mountain Course. I think that's in Croatia, Eddie. Is your geography better than mine? Is that in Croatia? Don't know.
Yes, Gary. Yeah.
I think it is. But either way, wow, that looks and sounds awesome. Yeah, well done, everybody who took part in our Strava club this week.
Okay, we've got a big Tales from the Trails this week. Are you ready for it, Gary? Gary doesn't know the story, so
No.
His reaction is gonna be fresh. We're gonna put some videos on our Facebook and Instagram as well, because this needs a little bit of explanation. And the videos just make you this is incredible. I know now you're like, what is happening? This is from Alex Watson Bance, and here's his story. Good evening. Not sure exactly what to say, so I'll just write the whole story and fill in any blanks if required. So I've tried to raise money for Julia's House Children's Hospice since 2019. They're a fantastic charity that does such a hard and important job. They rely nearly entirely on a fundraising to keep their doors open. After I completed my first 100-mile run in 2020, my fundraising took a dip. It seemed hard to beat this, so I needed something else to get people sponsoring me again. In March, I was out for a run, where I do my best thinking, and thought about the charity. Not only do they provide hospice care for children, but also respite care for children with life-limiting conditions. One of these conditions is deaf and blind children. I had struggled to comprehend what that could possibly be like. That's when it hit me. A 24 run in a microcosm of life in a day, right? So if I did a deaf and blind 24-hour run, ... I got home far too excited and rang the charity immediately. I knew 100% if I allowed myself 5 minutes to think about this, I wouldn't do it. They say, amazing idea. And like that, I was committed. This is when the snowball effect took place. I thought, I wonder if it's been done before. A good long check of Google, and the closest thing I could find was 3 Canadians who were in shipping containers on running machines. So I contacted Guinness World Records, requested to set a new world record, but got rejected. They did say it would qualify as an attempt at furthest distance run in a blindfold in 24 hours. Current record, 80K. I also Googled, can sensory deprivation send you mad? A lot. Depressingly, the answer was always yes.
Oh my goodness.
This gets much worse, Gary. Just prepare yourself, dear listeners. How could I do this? According to Guinness, it needed to be on a piece of ground that had been surveyed. A running track would be perfect. So I secured a running track. How to navigate? String. I strung out the entire course. This is where you need to go to a video to see the string to understand this. I did one practice run of 1 hour. So he put fence posts with string so he could hold the string as he was going around the track. It went so well, so I didn't jinx it. The hearing protection wasn't enough though. So I bought a variety of in-hearing protection to test and picked the best one to use in conjunction with the headphones. Right. Okay. So he's got a string. He's blindfolded and he's, muted himself, I suppose you'd say. How do I fuel? I run on 500 meters of fluid, electrolyte or active route, 60 grams of carb every hour rule. If I can't tell the passage of time, how do I fuel? Distance was the answer. Instead of every hour, I decided every 5 miles, and he came up with a plan of how to track my distance. He used a stone, elastic band, and clothes peg. Every lap, he moved the stone along a finger. So he had the stone between one finger and then moved it to the next finger and then moved it to the next finger. Then he moved the elastic band along the fingers, and then he put a peg on a bit of string. 4 fingers and a peg went on the string. Okay, simple, right? Yeah. Oh my God.
Well...
Again,
I'm lost already.
Yeah, there's a video to explain this, to show this. So all was set. 7th of October, 2 p.m. I put on my blindfold, 2 sets of hearing protection, and plunged myself into darkness. I had no idea what to expect, and what happened was far worse than I could have imagined. Honestly, if this is inspiring you to do something like this, don't do it. So I'll talk about lengths of time. I had no real concept of time. I come up with rough timings based on what my witnesses saw and talking to them after. So all timings are rather rough, educated guesses. The first 50 miles, I was so naive. I thought I was flying. I had visions of 100 miles very much in my head. It was very strange and isolating, but I'm hilarious. And I was making myself laugh and keeping my spirits up. Then I sat for the first time. The utter feeling of loneliness hit me very hard. I felt a weird cold, like an empty coldness. I felt like I was slipping into some weird abyss of utter blackness. I'm pretty sure I said F that out loud and got running again. Running was familiar and the string weirdly comforting. This happened the next 2-ish times I stopped at 5 miles each time, when I decided to just stay on the track and avoid the chair and stay on the track. So I'll talk about the pain separately. Pain was throughout. Knees. I only run on trails, so pounding a running track was not much fun. Right hip, I put this down to continually turning left. But these were running pains. They were familiar type things and easy to cope with. The ears, my God, my ears. Again, rough times, but sometime after dark and for 10-ish hours, the pain on the top of my ears was unbearable. It was like wire wool stuck between them. I couldn't switch off from the pain. It was the worst pain I've ever experienced. It took about 10-ish hours for me to realize realized my blindfold band had slipped and was frictioning on my ears. Once I finally fixed that, it subsided. It does make me laugh that of all the running I've done this year, the only blisters I got were on my ears. Meanwhile, I'd say at some point into the dark hours, things started to get weird. At first, I stopped, sat in my chair and looked up. I could see the stars above me, and if I looked forward, I could make out a vague horizon. I actually liked this, but did wonder how many stars I see naturally are actually real. I got running and at some point looked down. The floor beneath me turned into my front room carpet. I looked up and there was a cat bed in front of me. I quickly jumped out of the way. This happened continuously until the end. I'd be going along and suddenly I'd be on a mountain track. It'd be daylight and I could see everything. I could smell snow. Then there'd be a ditch and I'd jump to avoid it. I'd be in a housing estate and a car would pull out and I'd jump to avoid it. I had two halves of my brain. One side would generate a random setting. I can't explain how realistic it was. Throw in a hazard and I'd react before my other side of my brain would be able to say, it's not real. At one point, after I was suddenly descending a stony track and trying to get my footing, I stopped and shouted out loud, it's not real. Stop reacting. This is how I worked out timings a bit. So now I couldn't just stay on the track. The track was trying to kill me. I got to my chair and sat down. It was 4 a.m. I know this because my mate Dan, who's very experienced 24-hour runner, was stood looking at me with my brother. He told me after, dude, I said to your brother, hopefully he nods off. If he does, we give him 10 minutes any longer and he'll be furious. My brother said, and if he doesn't nod off, then I think we may have a serious problem. I was in that chair looking into nothing when a giant trout appeared. It was caught in a net from a mousetrap and board game. You remember the retro game from back in the day. And he was mouthing, help me. Oh, and he was upside down. I thought two things. One, no, you are a trout and you had no place playing mousetrap. And two, what is wrong with me that I generated you? Okay, it gets worse now, people. Weird geometric shapes starting appearing and changing and creating animals. Faces were coming out of the darkness. Not nice faces. I remember this when I had hallucinations. I was terrified. I had this complete sensation of dread and fear. I knew something bad was happening, but I didn't know what. I was locked in this nightmare with no escape. A continuous barrage of distorted, angry, hateful faces and weird shapes all kept getting closer. I said to myself, this was your choice. You invented this. It was your idea. And now the charity is reliant on you to uphold your commitment and finish. If you go mad, that's on you, but nothing comes off until 2 p.m. Sunday. I was in utter despair. I looked down. I could see my hallway carpet. Are you ready for this, Gary? I could see my hallway carpet and my two sons walked up. I could see their feet and they said, come on, Dad, you got this. Ooh. I looked up and it was like looking through a purple drape. Behind it were these lights. They were moving closer and changing shape and they were coming for me. They were coming. And when they got to me, I knew it'd be not good. I jumped up, got the string and remembered something someone in chronic pain once told me. Happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. It's up to you. That was my mantra for the rest of the run. I'd say it over and over and force myself to smile. As the rain went on, the chair hallucinations got easier but never really went. The running track continued to change scenery. I traveled the world that day. I learned how to cope with it by generating an alternative image. I'd imagine a music video and see the video in front of me while I did the other images would be at bay. I didn't sleep for 3 days after. I couldn't go to bed. If I closed my eyes, I'd suffer minor panic attacks, but all good now. So long story short, 7th to 8th of October at Salisbury Running Track in Wiltshire, 2 p.m. to 2 p.m. running the track, deaf and blind. I achieved 111K. I'm just waiting for the record to be made official, or for Julia's House Child's Hospice, who are the real heroes in this tale. Your podcast is amazing, by the way. Alex Bounce.
It's super emotional, especially seeing his sons, but to have that, you're completely out of it, but then present too. Wow. To know that these are hallucinations, I can't imagine that. What an achievement that is! Absolutely.
So I emailed him when he sent me this through to me. I just asked a few questions and his giving link is just giving link. If anyone deserves a few pennies, is still open. If you put Alex Bounce into just giving, it will appear. And I asked about the world record. I said, so were people like, because obviously he can't hear anybody. He was completely on his own for that whole 24 hours. And he said for world record purposes, all had to be filmed. So we had to have 2 independent witnesses that changed every 4 hours. They had to log every lap, every rest stop. And then his amazing brother stayed with him the entire time and ran the last half lap with him, which was very special. And he finishes saying, I wouldn't say I'm amazing because I said he was amazing, but pretty mediocre, but stubborn, very, very stubborn. I think we'd all agree with that. But oh gosh, if you're out on your long run and you're feeling a bit tired, open your eyes and listen to the birds. It just goes to show, God, we take that all for granted, don't we? The ability to see and the ability to hear, and what happens to our mind if it's taken away.
I don't even like thinking about that kind of stuff for too long. It kind of overwhelms me. I'm really curious, though, the 24-hour challenge, when someone put their hand on his shoulder and said it's over, if he was aware this was his time was up, or he thought he'd done 10 hours, I don't know where he was mentally.
Completely lose track of time. And it sounds like it took him quite a few days to come back out of that as well.
Yeah.
Hard pivot, competition time.
I know, it's a heavy pivot, hard pivot. We have a winner though. Well, 2 winners. Claire Todd was the winner of our Yugoku Projects competition that we held a few weeks ago. And apologies that it took me a little while. To the admin to pick a winner for a competition where you need to check if people have liked, shared, or subscribed, and then commented, and then over on Instagram too. Yeah, it takes quite a while, but yeah, Claire Todd took the win and she tagged in a friend, Nicola Hearn. So well done, guys. I'll get in touch. Well, try and get in touch with you, Claire, but if you could reach out to me too, and then together we'll get you connected with the Yugoku Projects team, and we'll get 2 hats of your choice shipped to you. Thanks, everybody, for entering the competition. And thanks to Yugoku Projects, too, for supporting the competition. And don't forget, Patreons get a very generous 20% off at yugokuprojects.com. Over to Apple Podcasts for our 5-star reviews. Well, it's actually a review, so I will go with this. Absolutely love this podcast. I've been binge listening for a few weeks now, and I'm almost caught up. How will I cope when I only have 1 a week? I've tried listening to many running podcasts, and they are okay. A bit hit and miss kind of way, but Gary and Eddie just keep hitting those highs. Little dragon tails and everything on this podcast. I loved it listening if I have a long drive or while I'm working. It's okay. I'm a gardener, not a surgeon. So much useful info and great banter from the hosts, and the coaches and guests are tippity top too. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. And that comes from the Book Fairy via Apple Podcasts. Awesome. Thanks.
Gary is desperate to break the US of A. He wants to go international. So if you're an overseas listener, please can you let us know? Let us know. We know we have listeners in Russia, in China, in Australia. Let us know who you are. Send us a message via the review, and we can move up what are we in America right now? Number 100.
Oh, we broke the top 100. I was pretty stoked with that, to be honest.
I know it's hard. Do you think the Americans would think like these two? Honestly, I don't think they'd understand what you were saying, Gary.
What I'm saying, okay. I don't know. Yeah, obviously Tea and Trails is very English or British, sorry. It's curious, but when I listen to lots of US-based podcasts, and I don't really care who it is. If I just enjoy the chit-chat, then I just listen along quite merrily when out on my run. I'm not too sure if that's how international listeners think. They want to invest a bit more in people they know. I'm not too sure, but it would be awesome, to have a few more international listeners. Okay, Eddie, what week is this now you're entering? Was it week 5?
5.
Ooh,
5.
What are you up to?
5 will make you get down. Do you remember 5? Oh my God, I love it.
I do. Did he get run over? But I know that was E17, didn't he? He got run over by his own car, Brian Harvey, I think.
Did he die?
No, goodness me, no, I wouldn't have done a Debbie Downer kind of conversation on the podcast like that.
Right. Well, my plan this week. So next week we've got starting with a 2-week half term. Oh joy. So I am going to do a big week this week, and then I will have a recovery week next week. And then in the second week of half term, I'll probably ramp it back up a little bit. So I'm going to I'm going to delve heavy into some running mileage. I've planned out a 30-mile route from here to do on Thursday, and then a 20-mile route on Friday. So
my God.
I know, come on, gotta be done, Gary. Gotta be done. Ideally, I'd probably like to do that in half term, like in the training plan, it would be better to do that, but I can't. So I'm going to do it now. And then it feeds quite well into recovery week as well. So cleared the diary. And Thursday I'll be literally running from bell to bell, basically, drop off my littlest at school, leave the car there so that I'm not stressing. I'll just literally come back when she finishes school and pick her up again. I won't go home in between. And my kids just are like, that is so normal to them. They're like, and I'll get in the car, still be on running kit, and they're like, good run? And I'm like, Mum's a bit tired, so I'm just going to have a shower. Oh, can you make my sandwich before you have a shower? Oh, yes, my little darling. So I'm going to do, roughly that. It'll be about 6 hours Thursday, 5 hours Friday, and then I'll obviously have a very quiet weekend. So I'm not really doing any sessions this week as such. If you lift the volume, I think you need to be careful. Then you can't do everything, can you? So that will be my focus this week. I'm going to plan the fueling, got the fueling, trying that out, and then recover as much as I can on Thursday night, going into Friday as well. Weather doesn't look great; looks a bit rainy, a bit cloudy. That's what it is as well. Can't be all lovely blue skies and mountains. Thinking about my shoes, Gary, what do you think? So I've got my North Face Vective.
You're doing road shoes?
There's mud. No, there's quite a lot of mud. The route is so different. There's definitely going to... So I wore the same pair of trainers for the whole of the spine. I never changed them. I only took them off because you made me at checkpoints to go into the checkpoints. Otherwise, I don't think I'd have ever taken them off. But I definitely needed a bigger pair the last 24 hours, but I'm hoping not to get to that. That was 5 days. This hopefully is going to be 3, 2.5. 4. So I'm hoping the feet won't swell too much. So I've got these nice North Face shoes that are really cushioned, good grip. They run on everything. Love those. Might just stick to those. But then I'm thinking, if it's reasonably dry, like South Downs Way, you could pop a bit of carbon on the bottom of your feet and just. Have
you got fat feet or skinny feet? Could you go Hawkers?
Yes. So I looked up the Hoka Tecton. Is it?
Lakeland 100 shoe. Yeah.
Is that what you wore?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got some questions. Same size? If I ordered like the same size?
Well, I did because I've said it before, I've got super tiny feet. I ordered ladies 6.5, so I think the width, it was fine for 100 miles, to be honest.
That's my size.
But I take 6.5 in all of my trail shoes, so I didn't need to size up for them. So fine. What
do you think? That good on mud? Not good on mud.
They're about 3 mil lug. I think they're Vibram, so you've got a bit of good rubber if there is anything rocky. But 3.5 mil lugs, so not huge. I have to say the first section on the Lakeland 100, not the first section, sorry, after Seathwaite, it was a little bit slippery in the bogs and a bit muddy there. But for the rest of it, I just can't remember being a problem at all. They were perfect for the rest of that.
The first bit, I'll definitely wear my North Face because North Downs Way, muddy. Vanguard Way is going to be, though there's like quite a lot of tarmac, the bits on the trail are fields, basically. They're going to be really muddy fields. Carbon's not going to give you anything over that. And you don't want to get tired slipping in the mud. You want the grip because every slip, everything is just that little bit of extra tiredness.
But if you get super fortunate with the weather, if it's like a hard frost and it's bone dry, then...
Right, so I need some options. And I have you're there. I need to use you. I don't want to make it too easy for you. So, I'm just thinking about it. Obviously, it's then a financial outlay to buy a new pair of shoes. I don't like to buy new shoes unless, I need them. So we're just thinking about it. And now you've said you want them for Lakeland, then...
I would happily... I'm not too sure if I will wear them for the Lakeland 100 next year, but if they were all
carbon, did you feel like that gave you more?
Any element where you could run, later on the race when I was shattered, that's but early on, if there was like going to Dalemain and through Pooley Bridge and stuff like that, very runnable trails and even a bit of tarmac, I wouldn't hesitate if they were what we might cupboard next year, I'd quite happily pop them on my feet again.
Isn't that interesting? What the shoe I was looking at, I'd narrowed it down to, and you brought, you see, we are like one mind. And another big thing I've done, and this is so good. I did my summer to winter kit changeover because our seasons are so different here that I literally have a different wardrobe for summer to winter. So I cleared all that, and I'd been thinking about my deck shells, so they're a waterproof sock. I was thinking, definitely going to be coming to use if it happens to be really wet and muddy in the winter. I knew I had 6 pairs from the Spine, but I was like, I don't know where they are. I don't know if I bought them back. I know I lost 1 pair somewhere at a checkpoint. Anyway, I cleared out everything, put everything on my bed, folded everything up. Oh, such a satisfying 2 hours. Found 6 pairs of deck shells.
Yay!
What we found in the back of your pants drawer. I also found a disgusting number of pants that I own. Literally. Marks and Spencer's black pants I have got a drawer full. Anyway, so I'm good to go on the deck shelves and everything's beautifully folded. All my winter running kit now, I feel like, that is good. I can just go in, get my leggings. Oh, what's the weather like? Oh, Capri pants. Yes, please. I'll just grab those. Oh, yeah. Next time we record, I will have done 2 big days. I'll have some content for you, Gary. Mainly probably will be, I've also, of course, got various friends to join me at various points. So there'll be some adventures. There'll be a lot of whining from Eddie and I. You just have to wait because I've been running for 2 days now and you just can't come out and...
I must admit, that's one thing I'm looking forward to with all this road training, that my weekly time on feet should be a lot less.
You can do 10 hours, cover 70 miles.
There's no way I'll be doing 2... like a long run really fits say 2.5 hours tops, maybe, with just a few miles at marathon pace. It's going to be, I must admit, I'm going to miss the lakes. It's going to be quite a shock to the system not going over there every weekend. But yeah, can't do everything, unfortunately. It's going to be wild. And I hope there's a few bits of kit I've lost over the years. And I'd love to.
Do you want me to come and do it for you? I got my littlest, she loves those Netflix tidying programs. So I bribed her into it by going, let's go upstairs and do it to my wardrobe. It lasted, I would say, approximately 2 minutes till she went, yeah, I'm going to go now. This isn't as fun as it looks on Netflix.
We watched is it Stacey Solomon, where she goes into somebody's house and really helps them. They're just, the lights kind of got on top of them and the house becomes a bit of a clutter. And they take all this stuff out and just lay it in a warehouse so they can see everything. It's quite amazing how all of that stuff went in that house in the first place. But yeah,
you imagine if she came around to our house, you'd be like, what are all these bottles? Why do you have 300 soft blasts and these water bottles and these spiky balls? Why do you have 6 of those roaming around your house? And she'd be like, can I chuck that away? No, that's my t-shirt from 2009. No.
I am destined to be the hoarder next door when I'm an old person. But yeah, I'd love it if there's a top that I got from Scott Running Scott Sports. I absolutely loved it. And I wore the Old County tops 2 years ago. I got a little photograph of me there, all happy at the end. And I think it must have just dropped out of the boot of the car or something before I drove away, because I've never seen it again since. But my week, just a recovery week. I've got nothing. I've burnt all my matches early on, done the marathon. So yeah, recovery week this week. I do feel fine though. I think I've got away with it. I'm not as congested as I have been for the past. I've just got a permanent cold. So lots of easy miles, mobility. I don't think I'm going to go to the gym and lift heavy this week. Just mobility at home and some bodyweight stuff. And like you said, the weather looks shocking. I think it could be Friday or maybe Thursday it's coming in. So that's a good time, really, that I don't have a 20-30 mile run penciled in for the lakes. I'm quite happy. It's quite bizarre because I've done this waterproof jacket. I've mentioned about doing these YouTube reviews. I'm reviewing the Storm Shell version 2 jacket, and I, like a massive idiot, had to go because it was being lovely in the UK. So I've been in the garden hosing myself down with this jacket to basically show how waterproof it is or it isn't. I know, goodness me.
Just a jacket, nothing else. Just
a jacket, yeah. So I've edited it all and it's all ready to go. And then I saw the forecast that it's going to rain this weekend. So I'm thinking, if I wait this weekend, I've got some good weather. But no, it's just going to be me in the garden hose. But yeah, just taking it easy, enjoying this week, I think even though, it was within my comfort zone, the pace of the run, do need to respect that. But I am really interested, actually. So we mentioned earlier about that. That was what my Lakeland 100 pace was, the effort based on my heart rate. So yeah, I would really like to have a go at a track 100 miler just to see what you could do in, well, sometimes they're 24 hours, aren't they? So I'd probably just like a track 100 because I wouldn't want to.
Those 24 hours and just run 100 and then stop.
Yes. Yeah. So I'd like to do that.
You get a good time and jump onto the Centurion 100-mile track.
I'll be well off that time. But if there's one in the north, I don't want to travel, to the other side of the country to do it. So if there's somewhere.
Yeah, you need to. I don't know the ones so much in the north. I know lots of clients do big ones down here. I don't know so many.
Not for me. If anyone does know or organise one in the north,
don't tell him. Where's he going to put it in his race calendar? Honestly.
I know.
Yourself. Right, come on, let's wrap this up. I'm like bladder's bursting and my kettle needs to be put on.
Oh, I had a wee when I went to get my drink. Sorry. That's why it took so long. Okay, we are done for another week and hopefully you enjoyed the show. And if you did, please take a look at Patreon. Honestly, it blows my mind that people would want to invest in us. It does make a difference. Thanks to all our partners and Patreons, new and old, and be kind to your future self. Anyone doing a marathon and you think you should take a gel, you should run a little bit slower, just think of how you're going to feel at mile 18 if you don't do both of those things. So yeah, take a gel and slow down a little bit. It will serve you well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and give us a share. Tell your mates, tell your running buddies. In fact, just tell everybody. Tell a lady at the check. This is your script. Tell a lady at the checkout and the guy at the petrol station and the family in Nando's too. I'm going to try that over my hot peri-peri.
What I love whenever we go to Nando's in England is just watching other people in Nando's. Oh, it's incredible. Thank you so much. Well done for getting to the end of the show. I feel it's been like a bumper one, even though we haven't popped the interview in. We feel like we've been talking all morning. If you are feeling a little bit unmotivated, have a word with yourself. Get your butt out the door and get moving. No sick notes around here, please. Only joking. Remember, unless it's broken or you're losing a lot of blood, it's fine to just carry on running. No, I'm joking. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your mates. Make that plan you keep putting off. Go on an adventure together. Listen to your body while you're listening to the UK's #1 trail running podcast. Refuel with your favourite brew. My name is Edwina Sutton.
Oh, Edwina. And I'm Gary Thwaites.
It went all formal. And that was episode 43 of A Very Posh Tea and Trails.